Today I will discuss a new poem. The poem is Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. The title of the poem, that is the name of the poem, the caption of the poem is Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, a very powerful poem, philosophical poem. Robert Frost is a prolific writer, a genius, and also a renowned writer in America, and he is called Wordsworth in America. Robert Frost is William Wordsworth in America. He writes natural poems, he writes realistic poems, he writes philosophical poems, and he writes on the pantheistic philosophy, writes on the presence of the omnipotent in the vast power of nature, and he is also like William Wordsworth. And most of the critics say that Robert Frost is William Wordsworth in America. So we will come to the poem Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. The poem is written in tetrameter form. The poem is written in tetrameter form. In each line there are 4 feet. Every feet has a stressed and unstressed syllable, and the line contains 8 syllables. So this is about the technical side of the poem. I have told you. It is written in iambic tetrameter form. In each line there are 8 syllables. You come to the title of the poem, Stopping. So, in the verb form, stop, ing has been used, ing has been added, and which gives rise to a gerund, a gerundian noun. And when there is verb, stopping by, now where there is a stopping is a verb, and when by is added, stopping by, it gives you a phrasal verb. The meaning of this phrasal verb, stop by, is temporary halting. Halting for a temporary period, staying for a temporary period, stop by. Stop by. So, on the other hand, I want to say, stop has an ing form, that is a gerund, by is a preposition, woods is a noun form, a small forest, smaller in size, on a snowy evening, on is the preposition, on, a is an article, a snowy evening, adjective form snowy, evening is noun form. So, normally the evening takes in the evening, but here the poet has used on a snowy evening, because the poet has made it specific. The evening has already become specific. So that is why the preposition on is there. He comes in time, he comes on time. What is the difference? In time will give you before time, and on time the exact time, the specific time which is given to you. So likewise, Robert Frost has written on a snowy evening. So, on the specific evening, what happens? On the specific evening, what happens to him is the result of the poem, or is the theme of the poem, the summary of the poem, the gist of the poem, and you got to appreciate. Appreciation depends upon you. Normally, I want to say that the literature is always a non-conclusive. It has no conclusion. You cannot find any conclusion. The conclusion has its beginning, and the beginning has its conclusion, ending. So that is why it is non-conclusive. My interpretation may differ, or my analysis, my appreciation may differ, because doctors differ. But I will never misguide you students, and I will tell as per my capability. I will analyze the poem as per my capability. From my own experience, I want to tell you the thing of the poem, the theme of the poem, the main thing, the main tune of the poem, and these things are very essential for you. Students, I want to say again that the poem has been written in a tetrameter form and iambic tetrameter form. In each line there are 8 syllables and 4 feet. Every feet has 2 syllables, one unstressed and one stressed syllable. So stopping by means a temporary halt, short time halt, and woods is smaller than the forest, may refer to plantation, and on a snowy evening is a specific evening when snow falls, the mist falls, and it is a chilly weather, the chilly weather. So the poet wants to point out that what happens to him on a snowy evening, what happens to him? Why does the poet write this poem? Which compels him to write this poem in such a snowy evening? When nobody is there, the entire road is depeopled. The entire road is depeopled, and the poet stands near a woods with his horse, and he finds the beauty of the woods, which fills his heart, which feels joy in his mind. He cannot but see the beauty of nature, the beauty of the woods. He cannot help seeing the beauty what the woods has given. The students, you must know, this particular poem is liked by Jawaharlal Nehru, the then Prime Minister of Free India, and the last 4 lines of this poem are very important. And the philosophy has been dealt there in these 4 lines. The particular poem comprises of 4 stanzas, and each stanza is a quatrain. Each stanza is having 4 lines, and every stanza is very important. Each stanza is very important, and we will analyze one by one, bit by bit, and we will gather something from my experience. Dear students, the poet wants to point out the varying qualities, the varying beauties of nature. So nature is a permanent source of joy. It is an inspiration, no doubt. It inspires everybody. Though we have no time today to enjoy the beauty, to stand and stare, we have no time at all, because we are busy like bees. We are busy like bees. We have no time. We do not give any time to the beauty of nature. We have no time to stand and stare. We have no time to enjoy the unfathomable beauty of nature. Nature is the storehouse of beauty, inspiration, joy, ecstasy, and also rapture. So, I want to say, the poet has already given rise to the responsibility, the obligation that we should have for our country, for ourselves, for the nation, for the society. Our obligation must be there. So the last 4 lines of the poem I will discuss deals with the obligation, deals with the responsibility, deals with the philosophy, and the entire poem has been philosophized. The entire poem has been philosophized. And I will tell you the thing, what is there in the poem. Dear students, I want to say that nature is powerful. It is always sympathetic, benevolent, kind, compassionate. And when it becomes violent, when it becomes very dangerous, it becomes only because of the mankind. Because we make harm, we do harm to nature. That is why sometimes nature wants to bring balance. Today you see there is a pandemic. Maybe it is nature made or man made. No doubt. If it is nature made, you should never blame nature, because nature wants to bring a balance. If it is man-made, it is dangerous. Students, you are to know that the poet is tempted. The poet is tempted to see the beauty in such a clammy evening. In such a clammy, C-L-A-M-M-Y, clammy, swampy, clammy evening. The evening is very clammy, it is calm, it is quiet, it is tranquil. When nobody is there, nobody comes and goes, the poet watches the beauty, sees the beauty along with his horse, domesticated horse, the pet horse, domesticated horse. And the poet will tell about the horse who has already carried him to this place in such a very powerful evening, in such a memorable evening. The evening is memorable. So, dear students, silence gives many things. Silence says many things. You are enjoying your lives in the din and the bustle, in the din and the bustle of the city life, in the din and the bustle of the village life. Even if But there is no peace in village. There is no peace in town. There is no peace in the city, the chartered cities. But we have to find out where the peace is. So peace is there when you will get a divine intervention. You will get a divine intervention, peace is there. When you will be spiritual, when you will be religious minded, when you will enjoy the beauty of nature without looking anything else, without seeing the world around you, the chaotic world around you, the hollow world around you, without seeing, and you will get peace of life, the pleasure of life, the joy, the supreme pleasure of life. So that is why sometimes we enjoy nature, the beauty of nature. We hear the song, we witness the movie, we see the jatra, we do that. Because we are totally depressed. Our minds has no rest, no peace, no joy. So that is why you sometimes want to see all these things in order to get peace. The peace is one of the powerful things. Peace is one of the powerful things. Peace is one of the powerful things, very vital things, so far as the human life is concerned. If you have no peace, if you have no joy, if you have no rest, life seems to be dull and dormant. Life seems to be dull and dormant. So, that is why Robert Frost has already given such a poem to you, where he has already given, or in which he has already given, his love of nature, his love of beauty, his love of his work, his love of punctuality, his love of regularity, his love for his obligation towards the society, towards others. Dear students, the human life is very vital, meaningful. The human life is very meaningful. It is not full of fantasy, realism, joys and sorrows, triumph and defeat, ups and downs. But you are to find out, staying on the earth, roaming on the earth, wandering on this earth, you will find out where the peace is, where the joy is. Because you have to give feedback to your mind. You have to give something to your mind. And this is one of the poems Robert Frost has already given his own philosophy. Though the poem is subjective, no doubt, it has objectivity. Because his philosophy has been accepted, his philosophy has been generalized, his idea is generalized, his feeling is also the feeling of each and every human being. His feeling is the feeling of every human being. And that is why Robert Frost has already given this poem to you in order to read and find out what the essence is. Dear students, I do like this poem very much. I do like this poem very much, though it is a small poem, very lyrical poem, having lyricism, because Robert Frost has used the language of the common man, like that of William Wordsworth. He has used the language of a common man, and each line is understandable, it is easily understood, It is easily understood. You can easily understand what the poet has pointed out. Because he has already used the language of a common man, the voice of the common man. So using this voice, using this language, he has communicated a deep philosophy, a vital thing, and you are to stick to. Because life is meaningful, not meaningless. The human life is superb. Our creation is superb. We are mankind. We are human beings. So that we have to think second time, third time, most of the times, in order to find out what is good and what is bad, what is good and what is evil, and which work is to be done by us, which thing is to be done by us, and we should apply our rationality. As a human being, we should apply our rationality, our reason, the power of reason, in order to find out what is good and what is bad. So reason is necessary. Rationality is to be applied. Rationality, viveko. As a human being, we should do that. So however, the poem tells a deep thing, the poem tells a very good thing, a vital thing, important thing, and I will come across. First of all, in the first stanza of the poem, the poet wants to say, in the first stanza of the poem, what does he say? Whose words these are, I think I know. First of all, he has already directly come to the world of nature. He has directly come to the woods. Wordsworth is a poet who comes from reality to the world of nature. Robert Frost is a poet who comes from nature to reality. This is the difference. So, I want to say, not from myself, but from my own experience, I want to say that Robert Frost has already come from nature to reality, and Wordsworth has come from reality to nature. The basic difference in between them is this. In between the two, the basic difference in between the two is this. One comes from the world of nature to reality, and another comes from the world of reality or world of realism to the world of nature. This is the difference. So, I want to say, the poet is not telling about the only nature. His nature is associated with the reality of life. He is not pointing out the beauty of nature, which is God, which is truth, which is beautiful, which is appealing, which is inspiring. The poet is not telling about that. But that thing is related to the life of a human being. So that is why in the last part of the poem, the poet wants to point out, the poet wants to say, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. So, fully philosophical. The lines are fully philosophical, and he has already come back to the world of reality. He has come back to the world of reality from the world of a dream, from the world of a fantasy, from the world of imagination, from the world of nature. He has already come to the world of a reality. Reality is a big thing, you mark. To be away from reality is not at all required. To be away from reality. That means, I want to say, that an escapist is marked by his escapism. An escapist is marked by his escapism, who goes away from the world of reality, from the hard reality of life, from the top reality of life, who goes away. But some of the poets are there. They are with us. They are on the earth. They are on the surface of the planet. And they say many things. And they see many things. So that is a big thing. Escapism will never allow you to be on the earth, on the planet. An escapist goes away from the planet, goes away from this earth, in order to seek something, in order to find out something, maybe valuable, maybe something different, what you get. But I am not satisfied with the feeling what an escapist carries. So dear students, Robert Frost is not at all an escapist. He is with us. He is on this planet and standing on the planet in the evening. He sees the beauty. That beauty gives him many things. That beauty tells him to do his duty. You mark. That beauty tells him to do his duty, to show his obligation, to be punctual, to be very regular, to be very duty conscious, to be very duty oriented. So that beauty has taught him. Beauty will never drag you. Beauty will never drag you to see the beauty only. Nature will never drag you to see the beauty only. The nature will say something to you, and you are to come back to the hard reality of life and enjoy what life is. What life is valuable. What life is sublime. What life is meaningful. And you have to realize. Realization is a very good thing. Realization is a very good thing. You will be with yours. So, the poet wants to say, you mark, the poet wants to say, whose words these are, I think I know. Whose words these are, I think I know. You come to the first line of the poem. Whose words these are, I think I know. Why does the poet think? Who has built this wood? Who has made these woods? The poet has pointed out in the first line of the poem. I think I know. What does he think? Why does he think? Because there is a hint of doubt. The poet gives a hint of a doubt. I think. So when he uses the word think, we find a hint of a doubt. So the poet is doubtful. Because he is quite unclear. He is quite oblivious. He is quite ignorant. But he makes a speculation. He makes a guesswork. Only because of that, in the first line of the poet wants to say, whose words these are? Whose words these are? I think I know. I think I know. His knowing is not certain. His knowing is not clear. That is why the poet says, I think. I think is a doubt. The poet is doubtful. And there is a doubt in him. There is a hint of a doubt is found in the first line of the poem. Whose words these are? Who has made these woods, who has built these woods, I think I know. So are you clear? First of all, the poet has already come to the woods. On the snowy evening, the poet has already come to the woods. And when nobody is there is a tranquil atmosphere, there is a calmness, tranquility prevails, the road is completely de-peopled, and only the poet is there with his horse, the domesticated horse. That horse is called a subhuman. That horse is called a subhuman because sometimes you mark when a man is found in a beast, that beast becomes manly. But when a beast is found there in a man, he becomes beastly. He becomes more bestial than the beast itself. He becomes more bestial than the beast itself. And when there is a man in a beast, in the true sense of the term, a man, when there is a man in the beast, that beast is welcome always. But when a beastly quality, the beastly qualities are found there in a man, that man becomes more bestial than the beast itself, you mark. So, the horse has already become a subhuman, it is a subhuman. Two characters are there, standing near the woods. One is the poet, Robert Frost, and the second one is a subhuman, it is a horse. That horse is domesticated, a pet horse, very close to the poet. The poet will also tell about the horse in the poem in course of time. So, in the first line of the poem, whose words these are? Whose words these are? I think I know. Words will take singular form. It will also take plural form. Words are, words is. Both are correct. Words will take a singular form. And words will take also plural form. And the poet says, whose words these are? Who has made these words? Who has built these words? I think I know. I think I know, because there is a hint of a doubt. The poet becomes doubtful. He is not clear at all. He is oblivious. He is ignorant. Only because of that, he has given such a line. That line gives you a doubt, you mark. But you come to the second line. In the second line, the poet wants to say, his house is in the village though he lives in the village. The owner of the forest, small forest, dwells in the he dwells in the forest. Again he comes to the second line of the poem and says that the owner of the woods is dwelling there in the village, a small village. Perhaps a village is adjacent to the woods, very close to the woods, and he may be a village man. He. You mark, why does the poet use he instead of a she? You mark. Perhaps a she might have made these woods. But instead of saying so, the poet says, his house is in the village though. So, in his, we find her. When we say man is immortal, we do not say that the women is immortal. Women is immortal, we don't say. So women comes in man. Women is found there in man. So that the poet has used the word he, pronoun. He has used such a pronoun, he, because she is there in he. So in the second line of the poem, the poet says, his house is in the village though he is staying in the village. He is residing in the village. He is domiciling in the village. He is a permanent inhabitant of the village. He has built it. Why does a villager take the ownership? What is the reason? Why does the poet think that a villager has done it? A villager has built it. A villager has owned this patch of land. Or the villager has owned these woods. Why does the poet say so? You mark, the villagers are normally good at heart. They are good at heart, the villagers. But in a town, you will never find. But in the city, in the din and bustle of the city, in the humdrum of a city life, you will never find a good soul. A village is full of good souls. They are very kind, sympathetic, benevolent. Only because of that, the poet says, perhaps a villager has owned this forest, or he has made this forest, small forest. I am telling about the small forest because woods is smaller than the forest. Forest is bigger than the woods. So, he has already highlighted a villager, he has already given highlight, or he has already focused on the villager, because a villager is kind, benevolent, compassionate, and a villager is a good soul. So many good souls are there in the village. But in the town, you will never find. In the city, you will never find. In the charter city, you will never find. So that is why the poet has said from the very beginning, in the second line of the first stanza, that perhaps the owner of the woods is residing there in the village, small village, and he may be a hamlet. He will not see me stopping here. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. You mark. He will not see me stopping here because it is the chilly weather. The weather is very uncongenial. The weather is not at all suitable to watch the beauty. Snow is falling. So in such an atmosphere, weather becomes very critical. Weather becomes very chilly. Weather becomes very uncongenial. Weather is unsuitable. So, why should one come to see and watch the beauty? Nobody will come. That is why the road is depeopled. There is no man walking along the road. There is no man walking across the road, walking along the road. Nobody is there. Only the poet is watching with his horse, you mark. So the poet says, the owner will not see him, that he is watching his beauty, watching the beauty of his woods. The owner has built these woods. The owner has made these woods, but he will not see. He will not know that one of the intruders, one of the man is enjoying the beauty of his forest built by him, his woods built by him. He will not see him. What does the poet do? The poet is watching the beauty, you mark. Because I have told you, beauty will fill his heart. Beauty will give something to his heart. Beauty has a link with spirituality. Beauty has a link with religious ideas, spirituality. Beauty has a link with God. Because in beauty, truth is there. John Keats has pointed out, truth is beauty, beauty is truth, that is all. Beauty is truth, truth beauty, and that is all. In one of his poems, John Keats has pointed out, beauty is truth, truth beauty, and that is all. So that is why in beauty there is truth, in beauty that there is God, in beauty there is spirituality, in beauty there is everything you cannot find. They are from the reality. So the poet says that he is watching the beauty of his woods, who has built or who has made these woods. Who is he? Now he is a man residing there in the hamlet or residing there in the small village. Perhaps that village is adjacent to the woods. He has done it. It may refer to plantation. It may refer to plantation, a long plantation, ever stretching, very beautiful. And it looks like a forest. It looks like a forest. It resembles. It takes after. So that is why in the first stanza of the poem, the poet wants to say, though there is a hint of doubt in the beginning, but he has given a clear-cut idea. There is clarity and a precision. There is clarity and a precision in the first stanza of the poem. He has never used hard vocabularies or a very tough vocabularies. He has never used. But he has used very small words, accessible words, understandable words, because you can catch hold of the meaning. You can easily catch hold of the meaning. That is why he uses the common man's words, the common man's voice, and the language of the common man, like William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth is accepted everywhere. He is known to every place. He is known to everybody, every enlightened man. Every enlightened man, Wordsworth is known. And Robert Frost in America also is known to everybody. Because he is known as William Wordsworth in America. He is called William Wordsworth in America. Because both of them have a similarity. Both write on nature poem. Both write on realism. So the realism I have told, and earlier in one of the classes I have told, that has been categorized in a different way. You mark German romanticism is different. Italian romanticism is different. Wordsworthian romanticism is different. But there is a similarity. There is a similarity we find in the romanticism of Robert Frost. There is a similarity with that of the romanticism of William Wordsworth. That is why both of them are famous. In America, Robert Frost is famous. In England, William Wordsworth is famous. So, you come to the first stanza of the poem. So, the first stanza of the poem, you see, the rhyme scheme is A-A-B-A. The rhyme scheme of the first stanza is A-A-B-A. Rhyme scheme. Rhyme scheme means the last word you see. In the first line, the last word is no. In the second line, the last word is do, A. In the third line, the last word is B. And in fourth line, the last word is snow. The rhyme scheme of the poem is A-A-B-A. A-A-B-A. You mark. To watch his woods fill up with snow. To watch his woods fill up with snow. Woods snow. So a similar sound is coming. Woods snow. Though woods sound is not coming, woods snow, S sound is coming. That may be alliteration. We will never refer to the initial sound. Alliteration will never give you the initial sound only. It is a particular sound that will resemble or that will give rise to the same sound. That particular sound, a single sound will come, but same sound is repeated. So that may be alliteration. Because from syllables, same sound will come. From the stressed syllables, same sound will come. That is alliteration. You will never refer to the initial sound. Normally we say that the initial sound will give, the initial sounds will give 3, 4 sounds, will give more than 2 sounds, will give a single sound. Same sound. That is alliteration, no doubt. I will never say no. But when the syllable will give the same sound, the syllable, the stressed syllable will give some sound, that may be alliteration. You will see, in the book of literary terms, by M.H. Abrams or by Jacob Abraham, you will see, syllabic sounds also create alliteration. Syllabic sound also create alliteration. In the last part of the poem, there is alliteration. In the last line of the poem, there is alliteration. So again I am telling, the rhyme scheme is A-A-B-A. First line, A-A-B-A. The second rhyme scheme is B-B-C-B. The third stanza's rhyme scheme is C-C-D-C. The last stanza's rhyme scheme is D-D-D-D. D-D-D-D. I will tell you all these things. Why this rhyme scheme has been accepted. Why the poet has already accepted this rhyme scheme? Why does he do that? What is the reason? First of all, I want to say that the entire poem, remark, stopping by words on a snowy evening, is a metaphor. Because it has a different meaning. It has an allegorical meaning. It has a symbolic meaning. So that is why the entire poem, the title of the poem, the entire title of the poem, the caption of the poem, what you say, the name of the poem is metaphorical. That is metaphorical, you mark. So words is a metaphor here. Stopping by words on a snowy evening, we find, in that poem we find words is a metaphor. That is why the entire title, the entire caption of the poem is having metaphorical meaning. Many symbols are there. Horse is a symbol. Woods is a symbol. Woods is a symbol. Horse is a symbol. Many symbols are there. Symbols have been used. If we critically analyze, we will say so. Surfacial meaning is not necessary for you. Surfacial meaning. We will never go to the surface. We will go inside, kernel. We will go to the kernel. We will go to the core. We will never come back from the outer cover. Just pecking at, khumpo marigiri. Just pecking at the outer cover, we will never come back. We will go to the kernel, K-E-R-N-E-L. We should go to the kernel. We should go to the core of the poem. So an appreciation depends upon the experience, the grasping, the culture, and the things like them. So that is why a poem cannot be taught by anybody else. A poem in English literature can never be taught by anybody else. It can be taught by a senior man. It can be taught by an experienced man. Because he will say something out of his own experience he has gained through his perseverance, through his hard toil, through his hard tilling, through his hard striving. Many things are gathered, many things are collected. And an experienced man can say many things. That is why I do not want to go to the surface